Hey guys, time for our next installment, looking at all the songs from Porn Graffiti. Today we're going to get stuck into, of course, Get the Funk Out, very popular track off the album. So we're going to go through all the rhythm parts in this lesson. If you want access to the solo, I'm just wrapping that up and hopefully have the lesson for that out soon. You can check it here if I've already done it and got the link here. But we're going to be looking at all the riffs and all the little nuances that's going on when Nuno's playing. So let's start off with the intro. So obviously the song starts really cool bass riff, good Pat Badger, but I thought I'd look at the little funky bit that Nuno plays. Obviously this is not critical to the song, and live Nuno will do different things, but what I'm doing here is I would roll back in the volume and the guitar here to control this a bit better. And what we're kind of doing is almost holding a little octave, G octave shape, so kind of like 12th fret, the G string, and then 15th fret of that high E string with the 4th finger. But you're really only hearing this kind of high E string, and it's kind of like a 3-bar little section. So this sort of funky stuff, this kind of 16th feel, Nuno is a master at this, of course. You want to have this sensation that your hands kind of metronomically kind of got the 16ths, you know, 1 E under, 2 E under. So in the first bar, what you're playing is nothing in beat 1 and 2. So you've kind of got 1, 2, then you're going to do a down, up, down on that little 15th fret, the high E string. So I'm muting it for the down up, and then the last down, I kind of push down the finger to get the note, the high E string there. Yeah. Might hear a little bit more of the kind of percussiveness to it. Yeah. In the next bar, we're doing the same thing. It's just we load that up with a little up, down, up, which comes in kind of the E of beat 2, if you want to think of it like that. So it's like E and a da 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 da. That kind of feel. Then in the next bar, it's a little bit more kind of involved, a bit funkier. We start off in beat 1 with a down, down, up. Then we're doing an up, down, up. And then we've got a triplet. Yeah. So that there compared to our 16ths, we're doing down, up, down, up. And trying to get that kind of feel of 16th note triplets with this funky kind of strumming can be quite tricky. What you don't want to do is tense up. So think keeping it really light and loose. Yeah. So down, up, down, up. So you're hitting that 15th fret, that up. And then the last beat of that bar, we do down, up, down. And then I think there's a little percussive sound after that before we have what sounds like a big multi-track layer of pick scrapes and slide up and down the neck before the actual kind of verse starts. So putting all that all together is keeping that kind of groove. Yeah, that kind of feel. Obviously it was an off the cuff kind of one take thing, because Nuno doesn't exactly play like that live anymore. He'll just play a little octave thing. But I thought I'd talk about it because it's quite a good precursor for the groove of this track, this 16th note feel. Okay, so the next section sounds like this. So for our verses, it's all based around this little dyad, this inverted power chord in the D and G strings. So what I'm doing there is I'm playing 3rd fret D, 3rd fret the G strings with the 2nd and 3rd fingers. Why am I using those fingers? Well, I can put a little bit of vibrato on the strings when I'm using the fingers like that. So when I do this bit, I'm going to slide 3rd to 5th fret, then go back to the 3rd fret and then pick the strings. And I can just add a little bit of subtle vibrato there. Then when we do it again, I hit that D string, pan mute twice. So you're hearing that 3rd fret D string before I do it again. So it's like. And then this bit here, I'm going to bar at the 5th fret, the D, G and B strings, hit that D string twice, pan muted, Then I'm going to put my third finger on to give me 6th fret of the B string. So I've got 5 in the G, 6 in the B there. Take it off. So I end up with 5/5 in the G and B. Then I've got a little palm mute in the A string twice before I do another. And what it sounds like is we've got 2nd fret of the D string here, and then 3/0 in the E string. So that first finger can play the 2nd fret. And then we have this bit that sounds like this. So what I'm doing here is an octave slide from the 1st fret of that A string, 3rd fret of the G string, slide up from B flat to C, so up 2 frets, and then go back, and then I play open A string, and then 3/0 on that E string to lead into the next bit of the same again. So those little kind of lead-ins are always E and A. Yeah. Then I play the A string, palm muted A twice again before we do the whole thing again. So that's actually kind of 4 bars. So slowly it kind of sounds like this. The other thing I'll say is you can hear Nuno digging in with the pick, or just lightly hitting it in such a way you're almost got a semi-pinch harmonic in these little kind of chords here. So that's another dynamic that you can bring into it when you're doing the verse, yeah. So that's our kind of 8 bars, and then we lead into the pre-chorus, which sounds like this. Extreme do love a pre-chorus, so we've got a little 4-bar pre-chorus here that effectively we're just climbing up kind of 4 chords. A B flat power chord, C power chord, we've got this E flat 9 chord, and then this F9 chord. Yeah. So what I'm doing here, the B flat, I'm just playing 1st fret the A string, 3rd in the D and the G. And as I move to the C, you hear it sliding. You can sliding up the A string there. And just at the end of this bar of the C, so you've got the chord lasting for the whole bar, you got a 4 E and A where you go. You hit the chord twice, and it sounds like you're hearing like the low strings, that down and an up stroke. You might actually hear the kind of 5th fret, the high E string there, so you might be barring with it. Then they've got the E string twice, and then I'm playing this E flat 9 chord. So what I'm doing here is 6th fret the A string, first finger's playing 5th fret the D, and then my 3rd finger's going to bar the G, B and E strings at the 6th fret there. And at the end of that bar I have a da 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 as well. So I just hit the top 3 strings down up, E string twice, and then I'm going up to this F9 chord. So what I'm doing here, I'd change, it's interesting, I'll change just that kind of, I've seen Nuno do this as well. It just might be easier kind of for the funky rhythm that we're going to strum here. And instead of barring, I'll use my 3rd and 4th fingers. So I've got 8th fret A, 7 in the D, and then 8th fret the G and B. And rhythmically, you're playing this with a quarter note triplet. So I do it all downstrokes. And then you have a rhythm that's like a da 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 da. So at the end of it, so it goes. Yeah. So that is our kind of pre-chorus 4 bars. Yeah, and we get into our first chorus, which sounds like this. So some of you may know, Nuno plays drums. He started out in drums like a lot of great players did. So that's why he has this rhythmical percussive feel to his playing. And the reason I'm mentioning that, I think it's good to think about the rhythm of what's going on here in this kind of chorus and thinking almost like a drummer. So the rhythm that we've got here, it's this kind of boom ba 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 da 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 ba da boom ba da boom ba da 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 da. Yeah. That kind of feel, if you're thinking of that rhythm when you play this riff, it will help with the kind of accents of it and also getting into the groove of it, particularly when you have to kind of move your hand about. Nuno's such a rhythmical player, and this is why his riffs have this kind of life to them. So what we're actually doing here though for this chorus, I'm going to be playing a G power chord. So I'm playing 3rd fret the E string with the middle finger, and then my 3rd and 4th fingers are going to play 3rd fret of the B and E strings. Yeah. But what I do is I'm going to hit this down, down, up. Yeah. Where I'm hitting the E string, and then I'm hitting the top strings with the upstroke. So that's your boom, ba. So this is why I was thinking almost like that as a snare hit. Boom, ba. Yeah. Then what I'm going to play is 0, 5, 6 in the E string. So 0, and then 3rd and 4th finger is going to play 5, 6 in that E string. So I'm thinking of this as a lead in to the next kind of beat, just as we had with the kind of verse riff. Yeah. Then what I'm going to play on the beat is 3rd fret of that E string twice, and then 5, 6 again. So it's like a 3 E and a. Yeah. So that kind of goes. That's the kind of feel of it. And then what I'm going to do in beat 4 is hit that 3rd fret of that E string once and give it a bit of vibrato. So that bit kind of together goes. Yeah. And then I've got the E string twice again to lead into the repetition of that kind of bar. So slowly that sounds like this. And I might use a little bit of pan mute or something there on that E just to kind of change the dynamic of it. So when you begin to speed it up, you get that kind of feel to it, you know, boom, boom, yeah. After those 2 bars, we now go up to the C power chord, and what I'm doing there is I'm hitting that like a 8th note dotted in a 16th, so it's like a down, up. But once you've done that upstroke, I'm going to hit the D string twice and do a pull off 3-0 on that A string. So it sounds like that. Then I'm going to do a hammer on 6 to 7 in the A string, 2nd to 3rd finger, 5 in the G, and then 7th fret that A. Little group of 4 notes there. Next group of 4 notes, I'm going to slide. We'll do a hammer on 6 to 7 again, 5 in the G, and then I'm going to slide quickly 7 to 8 on the A string. So whereas you ended in the 7th fret, you're now ending in the 8th fret, so it's like. Then I do that again, hammer 6 to 7 in the A string, 5 in the G. Then I'm going to quickly slide 7 to 8 on the D string now. Yeah, so you're doing. Yeah. And then what I'm going to do here is do 8 to 7, picking both notes, but shift the same finger down. 5 in the D, and then 5, 7 in the A string. Yeah. And you can give that a kind of staccato, punchy kind of feel to it. So that bit kind of goes. Before you kind of back into the, yeah, and that's a kind of 4 bars, and of course repeat that twice to give us 8 bars, and then the 8th time when you've done your, you just kind of slide it off before we do a big pick scrape slide to get into kind of the next verse, and that next verse sounds like this. So in our second verse, another 12 bars, it's pretty much the same as we had before. There's just little subtle variations. When we're doing our, sometimes before we do that pan mute, you might hit the D and B, G strings again, so it goes. Yeah, so you might do something like that again, vibrato, digging in, all that sort of stuff. But also around a bit kind of bar 8, when we're doing this bit, we now go. So what he does is he does the slide, and instead of sustaining it and then go back to the B flat, he hits it and then hits that C again to the B flat. So you're moving from that 3rd fret to the 1st fret, to the 1st fret again. So that kind of goes. You know, it's kind of mirroring what's going on with kind of the horn section, but pretty much That verse is very similar to what we had before. But then we lead into our second pre-chorus, and that sounds like this. As I've mentioned many times before, Nuno will always double track his kind of rhythm parts. So what we have here is obviously with the pre-chorus before we played like this B flat power chord, but it sounds like another track he's playing another chord that's got the third in it. So what I've done is I've kind of arranged this in one chord. So instead of playing a B flat power chord, what I'm going to play here is first fret the A string, open D string, which gives us a major third, and then I'm going to play third fret the G, third fret the B there. Look at that chord. And everything, the other chords kind of the same after that. It's just the rhythmical variations again. So you play that, again you've got your lead in. And then this time we do our ba ba ba. So the rhythm there is like a down, actually I think it's down, up, up. So you're doing your F9, mute, up, up. Yeah. It's just a slight kind of variation, yeah. And that leads us into our next chorus, which sounds like this. So I've called this one chorus, but it's kind of like 2 8 bars together to give us 16 bars. Our first 8 bars are just as we had before in our previous chorus. What changes up is the second 8 bars. So what Nuno's doing here is we're going to be playing our usual, but now we have something that sounds like this. Little funky thing here. So what I'm doing there is I'm going to be playing a little down up on the G and the B strings, a pan muted or a little kind of muted sound. I'm going to play 3rd fret the G, 5th fret of that B string there. I'm going to slide up a fret like that. Yeah. So that's your kind of, it comes from like a little dominant chord kind of sound. So when you're playing that, slide and then pan mute or mute it again down up and then slide and then hit it one more time. And at the end of that you can hear the D string kind of pan mute before we lead into the repeat of it. So slowly it kind of goes. Yeah. Then everything is as before with the C power chord, but we're not playing a C power chord now. We're going to play a C7. You know what we're playing the top of there. So what I'm playing here is 3rd fret A, 5th fret the D, 3rd fret of the G, 5th fret of the B string. So I just bar across the 3rd fret. And everything is the same as before, so it's like, yeah. Yeah, if I can remember how to play it. So we do that basically, and that's our kind of 4 bars. Repeat all that, but in bars 7 and 8, we have our cool little descending run. So it sounds like this. Yeah. So what I'm doing here is it's coming down G pentatonic minor in little groups of 4. So your first 4 is 5, 3 in the G, 5, 3 in the D, and I'm doing that down, up, just to get the punch. Then I'm going to do 3 in the G, 5, 3 in the D, 5 in the A. Into sequencing down pentatonic minor. Then I'm going to do 5, 3 on that D string, and then 5, 4 on the A string there. So I'm bringing in that little flat 5 bluesy note. Yeah. Then I'm going to do 5, 4, 3 in the D, 5, 4, 3 in the A. Then what I'm going to do is 5, 4, 3 in the A string, and then 1 on that A string, so that's my group of 4 there. And in the next bit, I'm going to play that first fret of the A string again. Think of that, landing that downstroke, 1, 3, 1, and then 1 in the E string. So you have to kind of roll your first finger bar there. And then I'm playing 2nd fret chromatically, kind of leads into the next kind of riff. So when you're doing that, watch out for the little groups of 4 feel. And when you get to this bit, yeah, Yeah, watch your muscle memory doesn't come in and play 3-1-3-1. It's not. You have to play that 1 again. So I kind of overemphasize that downstroke. Yeah, to lead into kind of arguably the coolest riff in the song, which of course sounds like this. So this is another one of my favourite Nuno moments, this riff and Get the Funk Out. And what we're doing here is basically playing a little chromatic riff over kind of like a C chord and a G chord. So the first thing we're doing here is we're going to be playing 1, 3 in the A string, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 on that D string there. So we're chromatic leading into the 3rd and then up to the 5th, all that sort of stuff. So when I'm playing this, a couple of things. Nuno will play this like down up, and then this bit all with upstrokes because it's in the off 16th. I think I might have done it all kind of downstrokes, but as long as you've got that kind of punchy kind of feel to it. Fingering wise as well, Nuno does this with 1st and 4th finger, and that's probably a good way to try it because it helps with what happens in the 4th bar. So I'm doing 1, 3, then 1, 2, 3 on the D string, and then I go up chromatically with the 4th finger to do the 4 and 5, and then I just use the first 3 fingers to do the 3, 4, 5 in the G string, which is a down, up, down, and you slide off that little bit there. So that kind of goes. Yeah, downstroke, upstroke. Then we move down, so I'm doing 1, 3, so this is the G chord, so I'm doing 1, 3 in E string. Same pattern, just in the E, A, and D strings now. Yeah, so I use different fingers there, but this bit here, second time, that's why it works to use like the 3rd or 4th finger there. So in this end of this bar, I'm going to do a quick slide, 3rd to 4th to 3rd fret, and then pull off to the 1st fret there. Then I do 3-1 pull off, 3-1 on the E string, picking it. Yeah, and that's your kind of 4 bars that you repeat. So solo it kind of sounds like this. Yeah, and then you do it again. It's just such a great riff, and it's such a great riff because of the chromatic feel and all that sort of stuff to it, the groove of it. It's just awesome. Now, of course, that leads into the guitar solo. We'll be looking at that separately, of course, in the Master That Solo lesson. But let's have a look at what the rhythm guitar part is doing underneath the solo. So the solo's 16 bars long, 2 sections of 8 bars. Our first 8 bars is pretty much the pre-chorus played twice without any kind of rhythmical strumming apart from the last bar. So what I'm doing is I'm playing the B flat power chord, C power chord, just as we did before, E flat 9, F9, and you do that again, the tapping bit. And then in this F9 we have a funky little feel. It sounds like that. So you're doing down, up, mute, down, up with the chord, mute, up in the chord, down, up, and then the chord down stroke kind of stab. So you get that kind of groove. And then in the next 8 bars we're pretty much playing our chorus riff. Just as exactly as we had before. Yeah. So that's what's going on under the guitar solo. Okay. And then after that we have another chorus which sounds like this. chorus is pretty much the same as the 8 bars we played just before the really cool riff. So there's nothing really new here. Just making sure again when I was saying, you get that little bit there. But the next chorus does have a variation, and that sounds like this. So slightly the right channel, you can hear that Nuno's done an overdub of a kind of a wah funky part. And really what he's doing is the chords that we had for the here, he's playing up an octave. So what I've got is 16th fret of the G and then 18th fret of the B string here. It does sound like maybe he's muting though, because sometimes I'm sure I can hear that 15th fret of the high E string, so you could fret that as well. But rhythmically, you've got this kind of feel to it. So the chords are like, yeah, with the wah. So it's getting that kind of groove. Yeah, whatever kind of little funky groove you've got there. And then the next chords, we do that for 2 bars, and then we play this, pretty much that. 15th fret the G, 17 on the B. And then I'm barring so I can hear that high E sometimes as well. So rhythmically, as I said, trying to get this groove, you're kind of doing like a down and hitting a lot of upstrokes. That sort of vibe. You get 2 bars each of those chords. Sometimes you'll hear that you'll put the pinky on the 18th fret, the high E string with that chord as well. Yeah. That sort of vibe. It's always tricky to kind of transcribe these bits with a wah, but that's the kind of little overdub bit I've kind of put there as well. And that leads us into our final chorus, which sounds like this. So just a little end bit is the kind of difference here. So we do our usual. And our climb up that we had. And just at the very end, there's a lot of tracks going on here. And there's probably a synth part and goodness knows what else for this last kind of chord. But what I've kind of abbreviated it to is like a 3rd fret D string, 5th fret the G string there, like an F power chord. Hit that and then just slowly descend the bar. But then when you get, you know, dive it so far down that your E string is going to go slack and you hear that kind of string noise, you know. And that's the kind of end of the tune. So there you go, guys. That's all the rhythm parts to get the funk out. There's not many little kind of fills. It's not as complex as some other tunes we looked at off Pornography, I guess. Maybe because it was a single, I guess, recorded a little bit later, whatever. Maybe Michael Wagner said, no, cut out all those fills, whatever. But it's a bit more of a kind of punchy kind of feel to it. So there's a lot of, you know, once you get the verse and the chorus down, you've pretty much got the whole tune. So if you want access to the Helix patch I create for this, or the Guitar Pro tab, PDF tab, or the animated sound slice tab, so you can go and loop bits and slow it down, play whatever tempo you want. Come over to the Patreon, guys. You'll get access to all that, as well as all our materials I've had for all the other lessons that I've done in Pornography and all the other lessons I've got on the channel. You'll get access to all that there. So, as I said, I'm going to be getting the solo down now, get it recorded, and hopefully get it as soon as, you know, one of Nuno's all-time greatest guitar solos. Brian May's fave, you know. So, thanks for watching. I hope that was helpful, guys, and I will see you soon.